You say it was easy, there's no way it could be this hard. On the map it's nothing, we've all done this in mom's car. You said it was easy, my freaking car is falling apart. You said it was easy, 2,600 kilometers and we're just at the start. You said it was easy, we spent last night wrenching just to make it through another day. You said it was easy, I'm pulling a tree out of my engine bay. You said it was easy, we lost another rig today. You said it was easy, I hope those spare parts are coming this way. You said it was easy, we're having the time of our lives in this overgrown logging road. You said it was easy, only 2,000 kilometers left, I'm not the one to get towed. You said it was easy, but it's day 3 and we're down to Toyotas. You said it was easy, have 13 days left, who's next in this game of quotas? You said it was easy, we push on and make the miles. You said it was easy, play tough, we're up for these trials. You said it was easy, you said it was easy, you said it was easy, you said it was easy.
Dad, don't go.
Well, I stand corrected. In episode 1, I had mentioned that only the Land Rover guy was underneath the vehicle at the end of the day. It turns out that was not actually the case. I completely forgot about the fact that we had problems with Dan's 4Runner, which was overheating. After giving the vehicle a thorough look over, we couldn't find any reasons for it to be overheating, so we started with the thermostat. So that night we pulled the thermostat out of the 4Runner to see if that would help, as we were going to go up Flathead Pass in the morning, and that would definitely test the 4Runner to a higher standard than the previous day, which was mostly just high-speed logging roads. Whereas Flathead Pass would definitely put this thing to more of a test in terms of its ability to cool itself. As we made our way up the Flathead Valley, we started climbing up the pass. We came across this little bridge. In the deck, there was this little hole in the deck that we just couldn't get around any other way. So we decided to borrow one of Travis's Max Tracks. So he donated that, and it was easy to patch the hole with the Max Track. Everybody made it across the bridge just fine, except for Dan. Dan had a different plan. He just didn't want to use that Max Track for some reason. Why don't you show us all up on that?
Another sketchy bridge. Another sketchy bridge. Another sketchy bridge.
Travis, you lent us your Max Track. Ooh, Travis to the rescue. Yo, you. But Dan has another plan, another plan has Dan. Dan has another plan. He doesn't need Travis's Max Track. Dan has another plan of attack. Attack, attack. Dan's plan has no Max Track.
After the little sketchy bridge, we made our way up over the Flathead Pass and then down the other side towards Sparwood. The majority of the route up the Flathead Pass had been washed out by this little creek, so it kept us quite entertained by flexing our way through this section and multiple little creek crossings and whatnot. After reaching the top of the pass, we made our way down the other side, which was quite a bit better in terms of the road condition. Worse for us because we like going through rivers and stuff, right? But in any case, we went down to the bottom and ended up right by the tech mining area and aired up the tires and then moved on into Sparwood. Now, it's difficult to miss Sparwood considering it has this massive green dump truck sitting there that they claim to have the largest dump truck in the world. Now, there's a disclaimer, it's of its kind, I guess. So who knows exactly how big this dump truck is in terms of the world's largest dump trucks. So we all got to Sparwood, and we knew we were in Sparwood after seeing the sign, "Welcome to Sparwood." And then the big green dump truck, which you can't miss from the highway. Now, they claim it's the largest dump truck in the world of its kind. So whatever that means, not sure. But we all congregated there and moved on to Tim Hortons shortly after, where we got some coffees and snacks. Then we moved up to Elkford, where we fueled up the rigs and prepared ourselves for doing the Crossing Creek section of the trail.
It's big, it's big, my God, it's the biggest rock truck. Yeah, it's bigger than yours, it's bigger than mine. Let's all step back in time. It doesn't matter cause this truck is past its prime. Sparwood, is this some kind of crime? Nobody believes your truck is the biggest of them all. We're just taking it all in. The biggest truck. It doesn't matter, we leave for Tim Hortons anyway. On with our day, we gotta play. Elkford, we're on our way. Crossing Creek, your summit is where we'll stay. Tonight.
So after our Tim Horton and Elkford breaks for gas and coffee, we headed up to the trailhead for Crossing Creek. And at that point, Dan was starting to overheat again, despite the lack of a thermostat. So obviously the thermostat was not the problem, but Dan was not going to make the thousands of feet of climbing that we were going to do to get up to the pass at Crossing Creek. So at that point, we had to make a decision whether Dan would, actually there wasn't even a decision to make. He wouldn't make it up there, period. So Dan had to turn around and head back down towards Cranbrook to the Toyota dealership, which offered absolutely no help whatsoever. So I think they offered to get him in a month or something like that. So that was absolutely pathetic, in my opinion, and probably in some other opinions, but I'm the one narrating this, so in my opinion, it totally sucked. So they offered no help whatsoever. So he was on his own. But at this point, we were out of radio contact, out of cell contact, everything. So the group headed up to the top of Crossing Creek, and we spent the night up in Crossing Creek. Dan had spent that same night down at the bottom of the hill, just above Elkford. And at that point, the next morning, he drove into Cranbrook and got the bad news from the Alpine Toyota. So at that point, he was on his own, and we were not in contact yet. So as the rest of the group went up to the top of Crossing Creek and camped overnight, we were all crossing our fingers and hoping that Dan would have had his situation sorted out at that point. And we would get the bad news later on the next day. Finding any real information on the beginnings of the Crossing Creek Trail is rather difficult. So it's basically used for the snowmobile club now, and ATVs and 4x4s and stuff as a shortcut between the Bull River drainage and Elkford. What it's comprised of is a large section of riverbed. Most of it seems to be riverbed. It's a lot of loose rock, and it's very much like a lot of the older coastal logging roads and such that are washed out really bad. So basically it's a big riverbed. Now there's a massive hill in the Crossing Creek. There's a whole bunch of smaller ones, and from what I remembered, there was one really large hill that was steep and loose, and it was going to be a problem. And I told the rest of the crew about that, and everybody started thinking about that and focusing on that the whole time, because all the hills were actually quite difficult. That you get a lot of wheel spin and whatnot. So if you're thinking that the granddaddy of all hills is still coming, it started, a lot of the crew started to sweat a little bit about that, and began to mention it, and it felt like they were leaning on me to alert them as to when this hill was going to show up. And my memory of the whole route was pretty foggy, so I kept saying, "Oh, this is it. This is the one." And then we get to the top, and I'd be like, no, I don't think that's the one. I think it gets worse than this. So progressively, it just kept on getting worse, and everybody was starting to get a little anxious about this big hill that I started talking about.
It's just on your side that he's gonna hit.
Now, I say they were getting anxious, but on the flip side, you had Sean with his twin lockers and Travis with his twin lockers, and then there's Jesse with his A-track system. And I bet you these guys are probably thinking more along the lines of pressing buttons and looking forward to the challenge more than anything. Now, Heather, Sherry, and Max all had near stock vehicles with open differentials, so they were probably sweating a little bit. And then myself, I've got an excellent traction control system in the old Land Rover, but just crossing my fingers, hoping not to see the three amigos showing up anytime soon. So that kept me a little on edge for sure.
Actually, I dare Sean to do this in two-wheel drive. Tell him it's a dare. I want to see it.
Right now?
Yeah.
Full crank. Yeah. Will I make that? Keep it fully cranked. Right, kiss the skid plate here. Full crank. More? Yeah. Okay, straight. Straight up. Yeah, just go straight. Yeah, we're good. All the way through. There we go.
Back up and take a little run at it.
Straight on though?
Yeah.
A little bit driver.
A little bit driver, yeah. Okay. Now a little driver.
Now, just watching Max doing this section, you can see how loose this road surface is, and although it never looks steep on the camera, it's actually pretty steep, and that's obvious seeing how his 4Runner is having such a hard time with it. Now next up we got the Gladiator with the 37s aired down, twin lockers, probably both engaged, and Sean bragging about using his downhill assist going uphill and basically just driving a truck all by itself.
Very nice.
That's nothing about the truck. I don't even have my feet on the pedals.
Oh, nice.
Fucking great.
So in this scene, we're probably a couple of hours into this climb. So that's a couple of hours of almost constant wheel spinning and rocks flipping over and stuff under the wheels and whatnot. And yet the big daddy of all hills is still coming. So this is the part where you're kind of a little puckered up no matter what.
That's what real. Looks like an RC car.
I can see Heather. She's kind of stopped. You got it.
Now once again, I don't have to explain how the camera doesn't give it this hill any justice, which maybe I do have to explain this again. Maybe just a little reminder, but yeah, this is pretty steep, and we just watched Sean just cruising up there, but you could really see that suspension working and keeping those 37-inch tires on the ground. Not to mention, he probably had a couple of lockers, at least one locker in. So here we have Heather with her open diffs and her TC attempting this same hill, and not doing quite as well as Sean was with the IFS and and stock shocks and everything else going on there. So she's having a little bit of trouble with this. Another thing that's putting this Toyota to the test is Heather's methodical method of moving as slowly as possible, using absolutely no momentum whatsoever to help her get up this hill.
Not entirely, nope.
Just the front?
It's just the front. Now we see Max just owning this thing with like the perfect line. Good job, Max. That looks wicked. Taking a much different approach than anyone else did at that rock step there, and little momentum. It looks like there's almost nothing there for him. Made it look really easy with that 4Runner with the open diffs. Now we're watching Travis cruising up here with his upgraded suspension and his twin lockers. Just moving. Making it look easy as well, but you know, got a couple tricks up your sleeve there, bud. Back to and then go.
And once again, Heather giving us a show with her momentumless approach at rock crawling.
Now, one thing I need to stress here is that this is the real world of wheeling your daily driver. So, you know, this truck, as we were filming, was probably about 6 to 8 months old at the time. So, I'm sure Heather, you know, there was a reason that she wasn't giving it a lot of momentum. It was more about preserving her truck, her beloved brand new truck. And as you see here, even with Heather's rather measured approach at taking on this hill, she still managed to actually bottom out her truck on the rocks. So I really love this one, where Sean goes down and takes the rocks away that he'd placed for Heather, just for Max, especially for Max, so that, or maybe just for himself and for us, so that we could, we got the maximum show out of Max as he came up this hill and tackled this rock step obstacle. So Max, the line master from the last scene, starts to go a little far right and puts that passenger tire up on a big rock. Despite hitting that big rock, looks like the old 4Runner, the old 4th gen, just powered its way up through there. Good drive, Max. So after cresting the last big hill, we had a short drive over to the summit and we set up camp right beside the snowmobile shelter. That night we brought out the propane fire pit and made a whole bunch of food. We all had a big feast, beers and conversation and bed. The kids went to bed early. And I followed them probably about an hour and a half later. And yeah, we were up in the morning and it was down the other side. Be sure to tune in for episode 3, where we pull a tree out of Max's 4Runner. And misfortune becomes fortune as the group gets reunited.